And we are back with episode 2 of the Community Build-Off Challenge. We are in Academia Nova on the island of Elba. This is the village we have placed last time, and I'm very excited to be back and keep building. Our medium density houses are actually spawning in, which is awesome to see. Just noticed though, this one didn't spawn in so well. So let's have a quick look. It could have filled it up, but it didn't. So let's go ahead and delete those two. In the hope that we get a proper corner building. Actually, I want a proper corner building in here as well. Because then this will form a very nice, building community. All right. We need to do our next survey and try to determine what needs to happen next. Very important, we need to make some money. So the first thing we're going to do is, unfortunately, adjust our taxes. So for now, we're just gonna set everyone to 11%, and we're gonna reduce our service fees. I'm wondering if we can get away with 50% budget for... Nope, we cannot. Should pause. Because we only have 3 wind turbines, we probably need it all. Alright, water and sewage, that should be fine. Death and healthcare, we can definitely reduce. Because our city is still relatively small. Alright, here we go. So that is as far as we can mess around with the budget, and that actually made a pretty big dent. So there are a couple other things that we want to do in this episode, and I'm gonna pause it to get there. First, we want to expand our industry, and I think now is a good time to place a little farm in this area right here. Gotta make sure that we do have highways unlocked, and the reason why I'm saying this is it would be great to have a connection that very smoothly goes from the highway into that area right here, while still allowing us to build our farmland. So regardless, we're gonna build our first little farm over here, and then we're placing a bit more industry down. I do want to keep this area open to actually put an incinerator in, which we could unlock, but it does cost us $1 million, so we're not quite at that point yet. In addition to the farm though, we want to expand our village. I'm hoping to be able to get to about 2,500 to 3,000 population in this episode, but we'll see how this goes. And most importantly, we want to keep that area up here free for our future port. So having said that, that's exactly where we're going to start. And similar as before, I'm going to place the road layouts, at least for the city part for now. And then I'll be back. All right, this took so much longer than expected. The game in itself is sometimes very tricky on vanilla when it comes to getting your zoning grid right, but we've managed to get this all in a beautiful right angle. The only thing that I see as a potential issue is that there's only one road out, and I would want to put at least a pedestrian path in. But I don't know if we're really going to do that right now. I think up here we could relatively quickly or easily put in actually a secondary access road. So you know what, let's give that a try. If we start from up here, put a path into there, and then we would kind of need to get around here, maybe swing around at least once. So if we were to go down to this area, since this is already kind of a pad that we can utilize, so we would swing around there, go down all the way. Maybe actually from here would be a good pathway. Or you know what? Maybe we should utilize this part, right? So let me undo all of this. Well, maybe not all of this, but let me make sure it doesn't look as intense. Here we go. Because going from down here up to Lake Lane, that kind of makes sense, right? And it doesn't actually look too bad overall in terms of earth movement. Now, since we had moved so much earth before, I'm okay with saying we do have enough soil to keep all of this in place, and then we would literally just this is weird angle, so we're gonna go from here down there, 10.5, 9.6%. I think overall that is fine. But what I do want to do up here now is actually go ahead and replace our small road with just a regular road to get basically down to that area right here. And this way we have at least a secondary road in case there's an emergency on this one. Our citizens have at least one more path out to get out of there, and they have also direct access to our cemetery. All right, with that, we are done in the area right back here in terms of road network. So now let's focus on our new farming area. In order to do that though, I need highways, which means I'm gonna unlock the advanced road services, and I would need to unlock the general highways. Alternatively, maybe instead of a highway, if we were to replace this with a regular road, we might be able to do that. This way, also our electricity and power is moved along from there. And you know what? I'm gonna do that all around. Alright, this also took much longer than expected, but we finally managed to get to this side of the road. Next thing we're going to do is we're gonna add a, let's see, we wanna go drive on the right. We wanna have an off-ramp here that swings around. And at the same time, we wanna be able to get back on here. So what interchange would be best for this? That is the big question. And I think what we're going to do for now is delete these beautiful roads. And yes, there is some reason to this madness. We're gonna take a level further down. Gonna put a bridge over here. There. All right. Now we wanna have so the way we're planning this out, I might have them come up down here, create a third lane. So we need an asymmetric road. I had already selected it. So we're gonna upgrade this part. I don't quite know, I don't think that is realistic to upgrade the next one that far. So we're gonna put an extra node in here and downgrade this again to 2 lanes. Now when we remove that, yep, overall that looks okay. However, let's undo it, put in the other road, and I kind of want to wiggle it a little bit, and I cannot. Alright, you know what? Let's do this the simpler way. All right, we have kind of done it. That was more complicated than I expected. All right, it's not very pretty, but it will do the trick. The next thing, like I mentioned before, that we're going to do for this is make sure we place our farm. And for the farm, we're just gonna have a road coming out here in a right angle. It's just going to be a dirt road, which will then allow us to, again, just put the farm down. I think we're going to do the grain farm over here and going to maximize this corner. All right, and this next part, that's something that I recently discovered. Because usually you can't cross the road with these farms. But if you give yourself enough space, you should be able to get underneath a bridge. It is not working. I swear I've just recently done this with a forester, but apparently maybe they fixed it, so to speak, removed it from the game. Very possible. Right, we are going to make that bridge then a little bit shorter. Because bridges are expensive. Here we go. So what we're gonna do instead is go in here. Let's try this a different way. Here we go. And in addition, to kind of hide this away, we're gonna place some oak trees. All right, here we go. Let's have a quick check actually over there. This should probably not move up here. So let's remove you and turn you this way. Okay, and with that, our farm is in and should also be functional. All of the lights turn off. I guess it is about daytime. Regardless, we have expanded this area back here for more industry. Speaking of, we do have much more industry demand. So now that we have this road here, we could consider putting more industry along the path. But in all honesty, I don't see a lot of good possibilities to create another industry area. However, up here is much better. So let's go ahead and do some pre-grading. There we go, and we can immediately fill this up. We won't necessarily fill it with the maximum zonable area, but definitely gonna utilize some of it. All right, here we go. Well, now you wanna zone more? Oh, I see. All of this zoning belongs to this street, which is why this is causing so many issues. So let's go ahead and do what we always do in vanilla. And now that this is done, we should be able to remove this and have a little bit more industry up here. Great. The next thing that we will need to focus on, while we're not technically touching this yet, we do have some more commercial demand. So that's exactly what we're going to build. Eastern European, we're just going to fill up the rest of these corners. Let's have a look at what it looks like for 2 of them, and then we can see if we need to manually adjust. We also have more medium density housing demand. So that is good for us to know. But nothing we're really going to do about it right now. I guess this corner here could be a nice medium density. Let's do it. So go into the Mediterranean medium density housing. Just gonna place it right here. I'm gonna place them all here, and that has already eaten up the entire demand. Now, they're a little bit big. You're a bit tall, but at least I see it works. So let's have a quick look underneath in terms of the zoning. So what if I actually remove this? What if I turn all of these into a 2 deep, not the corner pieces, I think. Actually, corner pieces are also just 2 deep. So let's go ahead and do that actually. Oop. We're just gonna place a 2-zone area around it, in the hope that this will look a little bit more appropriate. This zoned in very nicely. And you guys are actually 3 deep, so maybe I need to set you to 3 as well. All right. Anyways, no more demand, so let's leave it at that. We do need more industry, so let's see if we can't actually... We could just remove this bit of the mountain and build some more stuff in here. And I think we could also dig into this area. Ooh, This is technically still pretty intense, but it will, I think, give us a bit more zoning than if we were to go out the front. So we're gonna move in here. And don't worry, we're gonna smooth it out. Reduce the size of this a little bit. There we go. And that should give us a, not a great, but an okay amount of additional zoning area for industry. I'm gonna put in some alleyways for the additional zoning parts. And then, because they are alleyways, we're gonna place small industry areas down here. So either 2x3, 2x2, or 1 3x3 I think is fine, in any kind of constellation. Overall, I think this also suits more of an Italian flair, like smaller companies, not the massive ones that you might see in the US. And overall, well, let's hope it's doing okay. Okay, overall, everything here should still be fine. Let's have a quick look at the... Don't like that. All right, let's remove that back one, delete you, and we're gonna keep it for now just as the 2 level deep buildings. All right, I think that actually does look quite nice. But more demand for industry, because, well, we haven't built a lot of industry yet. I think I want to mellow this part out a little bit, but we're going to leave that for later. Let's have a look here. We should actually be able to put a few more industry buildings down here. So if we go, and what we're also going to do here, let's just fill this up. Also gonna make sure that this road crossing is not really a road crossing. No street light. Also, I don't think we need a street light here, nor here, nor here. I guess none of these in here will actually need that. Right. So let's go back in here, place down our alleyway, connect this up to here. Ooh, that's a bit steep. So gotta remember to always pre-grade. Right, that will be okay. I will accept that at least. And the next thing we're gonna do is actually flatten this out up here so we get a little bit more zoning up this way. And then now we have some zoning up there and down here. Smaller buildings at the bottom. I think I like that. Let's make sure we put a temporary path in here to block the zoning so we get a bit more down here to work with. All right. Oh no, this one has now given up. I guess that's okay. We can face you along this. Oh, no, 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 no. Pause, 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 pause. You should not zone on this road. There we go. And now we can remove this. All right. More medium density housing demand, which means they probably filled in these corners, and they did. Let's make sure we're just filling up that corner right at that building here as well. And then let's see where else we need more medium density. We still have the free area on this side, and that's exactly where we're gonna place stuff. So range medium density, Let's go with 4 deep for now. Yeah. And 4 corners as well. And with that, our zoning demand has already disappeared. Let's have a quick look. There are apparently a bunch of unoccupied buildings and more taxation issues. But bottom line, I'm getting very sidetracked. We have created our road network and we have placed our farm here, which apparently doesn't have access to electricity. Alright, with that road connection established, we get another signature building, and now electricity and everything is in, so that farm will actually do some work. Alright, like I said, I did get sidetracked and I got sidetracked again. We have put our layout in, our road networks, but we also now have additional demands, especially for elementary schools. So there is the community level elementary school, which is the Mediterranean style, and we could actually place it somewhere. And I could see that corner being actually quite nice. It is relatively close to some of the high density areas, although not all of them. Maybe this corner here. Wow, you got a nice plaza there going. Alright, getting sidetracked again. So when it comes to the schools, we want to have it close to our medium density housing. And I think this corner right here is actually quite nice. Oh, sorry, that is the Mediterranean elementary school. Which means we're just gonna put it over this way, call Mulligan on this road, and then it should allow us to place our elementary school right over here. Now we're also a large village. We have a signature building unlocked, and that actually fits in there quite nicely. It does come with a playground. We can expand this a little bit. It will actually remove the playground. So for now, we're just gonna leave it at that. More importantly though, with the new city upgrade, we got some more services that we need to deal with. That's modern Mediterranean police station. This one is way too big for this particular build so far. So I think we're gonna go with the German one. It is small-ish, but it does fit the overall vibe. However, right now we don't really have a good place to actually put it. I do think, so if our harbor comes over here, having the police close by would actually be quite beneficial. So because of that, I think that's exactly where we're gonna place the police station, on a little side road just up here. Little connection piece here, so it doesn't immediately offload onto the main road. Let's actually turn this on, and then we can place our police station right there. And I think it actually looks quite nice. For our fire department, let's see. Firehouse would be good, but we could also go with the German one to kind of match this. And like we said before, putting it close to our pumping station is probably actually quite a nice place. So here it goes. Now it does have more of a corner building vibe, so I'm gonna place a little alleyway on this side, which also gives them technically a street light that they should be able. I guess there's no street light, but you could imagine a street light right there that will allow them to get in and out of the fire station relatively quickly. Want to expand that alleyway a little bit further, and here we go. With that, we have sorted out all of our demand for new buildings, which also means we need to go into our taxation area and service area and need to adjust it. We're gonna set the residential to be 1% higher for each level of education. And the highly educated 12% should be fine. All right, next thing we're gonna do over here, gonna set the fire rescue to 50%, the education for 70%. Actually gonna increase our healthcare for 70% as well, and our police goes down to 70 as well. All right, now we are bleeding money again, which means it is time for more zoning. So I'm actually surprised that our population is not growing so fast. I had clicked on this before. There are apparently a few unoccupied buildings. Our industry does not like the taxes. Oh, what happened here with the road? I think I forgot to fix this one. Alright, let me remove you. And actually create the manual connection into this part here. There we go. Alright, back to the actual topic. So there are unoccupied buildings. And I know it's probably not the most reasonable way of dealing with this, but the way I like to deal with this, I just go around and play whack-a-mole with all the buildings that actually do not have any residents in there. So, and that is true for the residential buildings, not for the others. That is just something to keep in mind. All right, with that, we might have fixed it. Unoccupied buildings still. Let's have another look. Population. Oh, there are still a few more. Let's start removing you guys. There's one more. You're out. You guys are out. And there is actually more demand spawning. Definitely have some more medium density demand going on right now. I'm gonna remove you. I'd rather have you to be 4 deep. And with that, I've also killed the medium density demand again. But it is recovering, so that is good. So we are just gonna continue zoning now. Alright, so we have expanded our industrial area a little bit more. Well, potential industrial area, I should say, by putting in this little side road right there. Also not that little, but you know, you guys know it. Alright, that will allow us to actually place down some more industrial buildings, and we're gonna have it face away. Or face with the back to the cliffside. We're just gonna fill this up with, again, relatively small industrial buildings. But ultimately, I think that's exactly what we would kind of see. Trying to space them out a little bit at least, when it makes sense. And at times, I'm gonna try to fill in and a bit maximize overall the amount of buildings we can sort of get into the individual corners. Alright, I've also created a couple of paths that come along the side right there. So let's actually, this is a little bit too tall still. Go in here, and the way this works, you right click on the road where you're planning on putting the building, and then you kind of just move out a little bit. And this way, it's a very easy way of getting some building pads out for additional buildings. All right, with that, we have quenched the thirst for our industry, and we still have some additional demand for medium density housing. So let's place those. Alright, and we have made it to the Grand Village while we were zoning. The Grand Village is awesome because it allows us to place some offices, but that we're going to leave, I think, for next time. So let's go ahead and keep zoning more. That is the Mediterranean small apartments. Okay, that is correct. There we go. The most important part is we need to balance our budget, and we need to balance it quickly. Overall, happiness is not great now because of lack of entertainment. So we should place a couple of parks around, just get our sum around in order to make everyone a little bit happier. And for now, I will focus on small playgrounds. Again, kind of placing them where I think they make sense. Let's place one actually up close to the church and cemetery, and of course right next to the water. I think that would be an amazing amenity. I'm quite generous with these playgrounds because I think overall people will be happy about that, and every kid honestly should have a playground. But that also means now with Parks and Recreation, we have another service that we need to tone down in terms of expenditure. All right. We're still not balanced, 2,500 in the negative. We actually, even with the cash influx from becoming a Grand Village, we haven't quite made the dent. So I think it is time to kind of just wait for things to zone in before we end the episode, and then see where it will take us. Actually, I will take this back. It will make sense for us to briefly put down some offices because they are also money makers, which will definitely be beneficial for our village right now, as things are growing in and we're trying to come back to a balanced budget. So I'm gonna fill it all in over here, right next to that stream and reservoir. And with that, I think I've already eaten through the entire budget. Let's also go in here. Let's look into taxation. Overall, that looks good. Good amount more of demand for our low density housing. So let's actually go ahead and just fill them in. Initially, I've scattered them around a little bit. And now we're just gonna fill in so they can like close the gaps in here. I also do have some low rent housing demand, high density housing demand right now. And I keep the Eastern European style moving this forward. And I think it would actually probably be quite nice to have the low density housing along this path right here. So what we're going to do is again put in an alleyway. Oh, make sure that is approximately straight. Gonna then curve it from here into this road, and then we can utilize the buildings along this area to put down our low rent housing. And I don't want to make them very large So 2 deep on one side, that should definitely be enough. Alright, our budget is balancing out slowly but steadily, which I think it is time to end this part and do a little bit of detailing. Although I think we've kind of done that as we went along, so let's not do any detailing right now. We'll save something like this maybe for a more detailing episode in the long run, but overall I think our buildings is coming along, our village is coming along. So let's take a brief inventory and then call it a day. Alright, one thing that we have noticed, or I've noticed as we're driving through, that we have a lot of parking needs, so we will focus on that next time. But otherwise, thank you all for watching, I hope you're enjoying this, and I also hope to see you next time. Bye bye.